Puss in Boots, read by Beverly Chen. Welcome to Thimbleberry Stories, where warm and cozy tales await you. If you love gentle bedtime stories that wrap around you like a soft, well-worn cloak on a crisp autumn evening, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new adventure. Now, get comfy, pull up your favorite blanket, and let's begin tonight's story. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a poor miller who had 3 sons. When the miller passed away, he left his eldest son the mill, his middle son the donkey, and to his youngest son, he left only a cat. The youngest son, named Tom, sighed as he looked at his inheritance. What use is a cat? My brothers can work and earn their living, but I have nothing. The cat, who was quite an extraordinary creature, stretched and spoke. Do not worry, master. Just give me a bag and a pair of fine boots, and you shall see that I am not just any ordinary cat. Tom, though surprised to hear his cat speak, trusted him and used his last few coins to buy the boots and a small bag. The cat, now looking quite dashing in his fine leather boots, slung the bag over his shoulder and set off toward the fields. Puss in Boots had a plan. He went to a nearby meadow where he knew the king's carriage would soon pass. Using his quick thinking, he caught a plump rabbit and placed it in the bag. Then he made his way to the grand palace and bowed before the king. Your Majesty, he said grandly, I bring you a gift from my noble master, the Marquis of Carabas, for that was the impressive title he had invented for his master. The king, delighted by the gift, thanked Puss in Boots and accepted the rabbit. For the next few weeks, Puss continued bringing gifts, partridges, pheasants, and fat quail, all presented as gifts from the mysterious and generous Marquis of Carabas. The king became quite curious about this nobleman. One day, Puss learned that the king and his beautiful daughter, the princess, were traveling by carriage along the riverbank. Rushing home, Puss said to Tom, Master, do exactly as I say. Remove your old clothes and step into the river. Tom hesitated, but trusted his clever cat and waded into the water. Just as the carriage passed by, Puss ran into the road, waving his paws wildly. Help! Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, has been robbed. His fine clothes were stolen while he was bathing in the river. The king immediately ordered his guards to fetch elegant clothes for Tom. Once dressed, Tom looked quite handsome, so much so that the princess blushed when she saw him. The king, pleased with such a well-mannered young man, invited Tom into the royal carriage. Puss, thrilled that his plan was working, raced ahead toward a great castle. As Puss in Boots ran ahead of the carriage, he spotted a group of farmers working in a golden wheat field. He paused and called out, Listen closely. When the king's carriage passes, he will ask whose land this is. You must tell him that it belongs to the great Marquis of Carabas. If you do, you will be rewarded. The farmers, unsure but eager for a reward, nodded and agreed. Sure enough, when the king's carriage rolled past, he admired the vast golden fields and asked, Who owns this land? The farmers, just as Puss had instructed, replied, Why, your Majesty, this land belongs to the noble Marquis of Carabas. The king, further impressed, turned to Tom with a pleased smile. You truly are a wealthy and powerful nobleman, my dear Marquis. I had no idea your lands stretched so far. Tom, surprised but clever enough to play along, smiled humbly. The princess looked at him with even more admiration. Puss, satisfied that his trick was working, ran ahead once more, this time to the great castle. Now, this castle belonged to a fearsome, greedy ogre who owned all the land around it. But Puss had one last clever trick up his sleeve. Arriving at the castle, Puss knocked confidently on the enormous door. When the ogre opened it, Puss bowed deeply. "Oh, great and powerful ogre," he purred, "I have heard you have amazing magic. They say you can turn into any creature you desire." The ogre grinned, proud of his abilities. "Indeed I can." "Can you turn into a mighty lion?" Puss challenged. "Of course!" the ogre roared, and in a puff of smoke transformed into a great lion, shaking the ground with his mighty roar. Puss, pretending to be frightened, scampered away. "Oh, magnificent! But surely someone as powerful as you could also turn into something as tiny as a mouse?" The ogre, wanting to impress the little cat further, scoffed. "Easily." With another flash, he shrank into a tiny mouse and scurried across the floor. Quick as lightning, Puss pounced, snap, and swallowed the mouse whole. The ogre was no more. When the king's carriage arrived at the castle, Puss ran out to greet them. "Welcome, your majesty, to the castle of my master, the Marquis of Carabas." The king was astonished at such a grand estate and was even more impressed with the young marquis. The princess, who had grown quite fond of Tom during their ride, smiled shyly at him. Seeing how clever and charming he was, the king declared, "Such a nobleman would make a fine husband for my daughter." And so Tom married the princess, and they lived happily in the grand castle. Puss in Boots became the most honored and beloved cat in the land, never having to chase mice again, unless he wanted to for fun. And from that day on, whenever someone saw a cat with particularly fine boots, they would always wonder, could it be the clever Puss in Boots? The end. And now, dear listener, it's your turn to rest. Close your eyes, snuggle up, let the stars twinkle just for you. Tomorrow will be a wonderful day, perhaps even an adventure of your own. Good night, little dreamer. Sleep well. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. It really helps our channel.